We're sort of seeing a wave of adoption and increasing acceptance of AI and ML-based technologies in the enterprise, whether that's all the way down to engineering up to enterprise and sales and fintech. Part of that sort of the recent IPOs of larger companies like C3.ai or Palantir here in the US, which have driven a lot of attention to the category. Historically, AI used to be a pretty manual data science driven business. And obviously, the last decade has seen a lot of development of automated platforms to try and find ways to not just get better insights for the enterprise or for whatever business teams are using the AI-enabled solution, but also being able to automate a lot of processes that were historically pretty manual.
Perhaps another segment I'd like to point out is cybersecurity. I think there's an increased awareness of the strategic importance of securing businesses, governments, agencies, and I think both on the actually software side but service side, there's many opportunities, quite a few processes ongoing, and clearly very strong appetite from investors from a strategic M&A perspective.
As things become more interconnected and complex, we're starting to see new markets and new applications within sort of the OT, which is the more traditionally disconnected, broad iron sort of manufacturing environment. So it's really fascinating to see that digital transformation, the creation of the digital thread, the next step in Industry 4.0 really roll out in several different ways. And that's not just the connectivity, the monitoring, but the security aspect.
What we're seeing, certainly in the UK anyway, is people are saying, okay, actually, unfortunately, I've missed the chance to invest maybe on the software side of AI or even RPA, which some would argue is an extension of the AI. But what can I do to get exposure to that sector? So people are looking, or investors are looking now for the services side of businesses. So we're seeing quite a bit of interest on those businesses that maybe are service-based around AI. So they might be performing the integrations or the roboticizing of processes for customers.
I think a last that applies only to some sub-segment, but I think we're seeing sort of geostrategic considerations being part of the equation. I think much more than a few years ago. So we see dynamics between countries or continents. We see some sectors, being preserved or willing to be preserved by governments. So there's back to cybersecurity that we're discussing before. We've seen a number of transactions actually being blocked.
What we're seeing as well is the opportunities for different capital has increased. So, for example, private equity, where historically they would maybe be focused on pure majority buyouts, and now being a bit more flexible, offering a minority investment, for example, where the founder or the shareholder needs a bit of capital. They don't want to sell fully because they're not going to realize full valuation, but some capital, some cash off the table, and a bit of a working capital or a bit of a cash injection to help them with a period of uncertainty. Private equity are more aligned to that and attuned to that, and are offering more flexible structures, because for them as well, it gives them the opportunity to make an investment early on where historically they might have missed out.